Well, welcome everyone. I just wanted to start this video off by saying that I'm trying something new. And what I'm trying is I'm using an application called Infinicine. And hopefully this will be a lot easier than the old way I was doing it, because that way took up a lot of memory on my little laptop. So anyways, this is going to get into the next part in the Universal Law series. But before I tell you that, I just wanted to point out a few things. In the future, I will be including the chat off to the side. It's not there now, but they haven't added that to this particular app yet. So in the video, you will see things like that. And also, there's a little blank spot right down here. And this is going to be really interesting in the future. This is reserved for certain alerts. So it's just something I'm trying out. So whenever certain things happen, I think in the chat, if somebody subscribes or donates, or there's a few other options, you'll see a special little recognition down here in this blank spot. And special little pictures I've picked out just for that occasion. So anyways, without further ado, let's get right into it. The next universal law that I'm going to be talking with you guys about is known as the law of gender. Now, what's the law of gender? When we think of gender, we usually think of physical attributes of the masculine, the males, and the feminine, the females, right? And usually, especially in the realm that we live in today, it's really focused on those physical genitalia, the physical, the physical attributes of men and women and what sets us apart. But the law of gender is so much deeper than that. The law of gender basically says that there is a masculine and a feminine energy to everything. To everything that's out there, there is a masculine and a feminine. Now, what does that mean? Let's put aside our current concepts of male and female. Let's stop focusing so much during the course of this video on physical attributes. And let's talk about the energy that we call masculine and the energy that we call feminine. Now, the law of gender states that everything in existence contains these two attributes, and all energy works and has a masculine and an energy and a masculine and a feminine side to them. So we could also replace the word masculine. Let's talk about masculine, right? Masculine could be replaced with the word positive. Now, put aside preconceived ideas of the word positive, because when I say positive, I don't necessarily mean good or happy or likable or preferable. When I say positive, I mean that masculine type of energy that goes out into the world. It goes outward from wherever it came from. It goes that the masculine energy, that positive energy from us, literally is our energy that we put out into the world. It's the energy that we put off. It's that vibration that goes out of whatever it is. Now, the counter to that, or the complement to that, is the feminine energy. Now, if masculine energy is the positive, then feminine energy is the negative. Now, remember, the way this idea is about negativity, right? Negativity has a bad rap. What negativity really is energetically is if masculine and positive is the energy that goes out, then the feminine energy and the negative energy is the balance to that. It's the energy that comes inward. It's that energy which returns. So the law of gender states that everything that you look at, and especially you yourself, contain masculine attributes energetically and feminine attributes energetically. We have the positive within us and we have the negative within us. Now, don't think in terms of good and bad. That's more polarity. And there actually is polarity to this as well. But let's talk about how they complement one another. That's why we have a masculine energy and a feminine energy. It's why we have energy that goes out and then it comes back and it returns. It is this balance between these two energies. It is these energies working together that creates this flux that we see in our realm and everywhere around us, but especially within us. You can see the masculine and feminine energy. You can see the law of gender at work simply when you breathe. When you breathe in, that's the feminine. When you breathe out, that's the masculine. When you consider things and it goes into you, that's the feminine. When you speak about things and you put things out into the world, that's the masculine. Now, there is a beautiful balance. There's a beautiful synergy between these two. They work together with one another, acknowledging one another, right? And there's a beautiful moment between the two that some people refer to as neutrality, but it's just a transition stage, and it has to happen. It's the birth between the masculine and the feminine. It's the meeting between the positive and the negative. This place of neutrality exists within all of us as well. For example, when you breathe in, feminine, but right before you breathe out, there's that pause. There's that neutrality. Masculine, right? It's like when you take in information, right before you start to process it, it's basically a place of meditation, that neutrality. It is the quote-unquote offspring between the masculine and the feminine. Or I should say feminine is more like that. So certain powers that we all know about that tend to run, I'm just going to say the Illuminati, okay? The Illuminati understand these universal laws, at least the ones that are higher up do, okay? There's lots of evidence that they have left behind telling themselves, reminding one another about these universal laws. And unfortunately, many of these universal laws, when represented by their symbolism, get sort of a bad rap, and they get a stigma labeled to them saying that, oh, well, that's a belief of the Illuminati. That's a belief of the hidden hand. That's something that the bad guys understand or practice. Well, like I've said in a few of my other videos, I'm not promoting them, but I am promoting these universal laws that they themselves understand and use to their advantage to do the things that you see them doing. Now, if we were to use and understand these universal laws and use them to our advantage, it would essentially balance that equation out. And I personally believe we would see a lot of people breaking free. One example I'll give you is in some pictures, in some symbols, the Illuminati symbolize the law of gender, understanding that there is this male and female within everything, energetically, but they represent it by showing you the genitalia between the two. And now a lot of people get the physical embedded in their mind whenever they see things like transvestite pictures, right? So here's what they are trying to do. They are trying to get us to focus on the physical, right? On the forcing of the mixing between the two. But in reality, the law of gender is a cooperation between the feminine and the masculine. The positive and negative energies. There's a flow between the two. There is a positive energy within us. There is a negative energy within us. There's a masculine force and a negative force, a feminine force within us, all of us. Now, physically, we can balance this out. We see it happen in relationships. But more importantly is the balance of the masculine and the feminine within you, within me, within all of us. Because ultimately, like the first universal law dictates, all is one. And so, whenever a person balances and practices complementing themselves by being balanced between these two energies at play, and also utilizing the neutrality that exists, right? You have the masculine, which explodes, and the feminine, which takes in. And at that center point, there is that neutrality. There's that state of transition where it's not quite one and not quite the other, but it's one with itself. So be encouraged. Definitely check out these various laws. Be encouraged to be balanced within yourself, because the more balance that a person recognizes and practices and allows to be within themselves, the more balance that same person will start to see in the world around them. Anyways, I'm JayDreamerZ. Thanks for joining me, and thanks for letting me try out these new. Well, I've got that, and I've got this one down here. Anyways, I'm having a lot of fun making things fun for you guys as well. Anyways, if you haven't seen the rest of the Universal Law series I've been doing, stay tuned, because there's a lot more really cool and interesting ones, including my personal favorite that is to come. I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. I don't know how to turn it off. Okay.